Too sweet! Hi, welcome to JD Sports. I'm Jared Hood. That's Dwight Garfield. This week, Dwight. So, how was your weekend, Dwight? I mean, everything been good in the life of Dwight Garfield lately?
It was good, man. I was just chilling, kicking it, drinking, hanging out with the girl, just chilling.
I don't want to brag, but I saw Beyonce, so super excited about that. But opening the show on a
Wait! You can't just let that one go. How was that?
It was phenomenal. It was Beyonce. I love Beyonce. I love Jay-Z. I'm Rock Nation, but. So I know that there's like a little feud going on, but there's not. It seems like eternally everything seems alright with them. Whatever. Yeah, Either way, I love them both as artists individually, separately anyways. So, I mean, it was amazing to see her. She put on a phenomenal show. She was fantastic. Amazing in concert. And she was lively. She was fun. Khaled opened up for her. He could have been a little better, but I think he was just rushing through his show. He played some really good songs, some old songs, some new songs, a little bit of everything. But and not just his own, but he rushed through all of it. It was cool though. The crowd was live. I was in, we moved from our seats down General Mission, party with the crowd. It was fun. Yeah, had a little buzz on, drinking a little bit. So it was cool.
So how was the girls?
Oh, I mean, they were everywhere. Yeah. They were everywhere. For a single man like myself, it was pretty cool to see. It was but respectful. I was there for Beyonce as well. I was singing every word. I think the girls were a little taken back by that around me, but it was cool. It was fun.
Fantastic.
So, but unfortunately, just like last week, we have some I want condolences to Orlando. What happened over the weekend was not. It's inhumane. We are both big for the human race, and it's
I don't care who you are, what you are.
It's unbelievable. So condolences to their family. I have a friend who she used to live down there, and she used to go to that club actually fairly often. So she it's very it's just weird how small connection the world is like that. You know what I mean? It's just that I'm one person away from knowing somebody who was at least in there before. That's incredible.
I got a couple of homosexual friends as well.
Yeah,
it's just man. Come
but
on,
it's not even just it's not even just that. It's just like the whole it's unbelievable. I mean, there's no reason for that kind of violence in the world. So hopefully,
we need more love out there.
Yeah, hopefully we can band together as one. Not to harp on the bad, but I just want condolences to the family, to all the victims,
and also homegirl. What's her name? Christina Grimmie, I believe. Yeah. She got shot. She was a singer on what was it? The Voice, I think it was. She got gunned down by some crazed, obsessed fan, the day or two before this happened in Orlando. Come on, man. 22 years old.
Scary.
It's
this
disgusting.
world is wild.
She was signing autographs. I guess her brother is the dude that ended up tackling the dude.
Come on.
We gotta do better in this America. Shout out overall to Orlando. Yeah.
All
the victims from across the board
right there. So everybody just stay on high alert. I mean, that's the worst. It's unfortunate, but we are at that point, it seems like. So
that's how I live my life, dude.
Trying to move to a less serious topic. The NBA Finals are going on. We are a sports show, so getting into it. It is 3-2. The Warriors are one game away from closing it. Now, to set up Game 3 really quick, Draymond Green and LeBron got into it on Friday, and they got upgraded to a flagrant and a technical. Draymond Green couldn't afford a flagrant. He gets suspended for a game, can't even attend the game. He could have paid $2,000 to attend the game, actually, if he wanted to.
Why? Why would he have to pay for it?
The league said that they would have let him do it, but he would have had to pay the fine.
Okay, time out. What if they would have won the championship?
He said the league did say that he wouldn't have to pay anything to come in at the end of the game with less than a minute to go if he wanted to come stand on the floor.
Who's getting this $2,000?
I have no clue. It wasn't really part of my concern. Did you see what he did instead of going to the game, by the way? We'll get into that.
No, was he chilling at the crib?
No, so what he ended up doing was he was invited to the Oakland Athletics game, right? And you actually informed me of that. He did turn down throwing out the first pitch, which you told me last night, but I found out, and I was going to text you this because we watched the game a little bit last night, or on Monday night together. I was going to text you this when I got home. Draymond Green was in a suite with the Oakland Athletics GM and Marshawn Lynch at the Athletics game, watching the Warriors game. And because it's the Oakland Coliseum and it's a very old building, the suites in there don't have bathrooms. So he had to go use the public bathroom, and a bunch of fans mobbed him. And when he was walking out of the bathroom, there's a great video of them screaming at all of the top of their lungs, MVP, MVP, MVP. And you
Wait. Where was his security first?
It's awesome.
Wow.
It is awesome. And I thought it was odd when I saw the video because I saw the video last night before I knew that they didn't have bathrooms in their suites because I knew he was in a suite with Marshawn Lynch and the GM and I was like, why is he using a public bathroom? You're in a suite.
They have suites, but they don't have public.
Well, it's the Coliseum, and they're not wrong. I've looked it up. It's incredible. The Oakland Raiders, it's their stadium, and it's the oldest stadium in America right now in use, and it's miserable. So it's why the Raiders want to move out of Oakland because they can't get a new stadium. The Coliseum is so old and run down. They don't even have bathrooms in their suites. That's how old this place is.
That's
so
disgusting.
It's incredible, but Draymond Green literally had to go use the public bathroom. He used it and they said it was awesome. The video is very cool, but. So he watched the game from a suite over at the Oakland Coliseum with Marshawn Lynch. I would love to be a bug on the wall, just listening to that, just hearing the conversations of all of them. I mean, that'd just be incredible. So anyways, Draymond gets suspended. Now we knew that would impact the game a little bit. Game 5 here, the Warriors were one game away from closing it out. Steph Curry had a really bad second half, but not just Steph Curry because I'm not want to just knock on him, and I want to get into that in a second, but their whole entire team, they made one field goal from the floor. They made a couple of free throws, but one field goal from the floor in the last 4 minutes and 23 seconds. That is very un-Warriors-like. That will not happen down in the future. It's probably why I'm just going to say it right now, why I think they'll probably win the series still. I don't see that happening again. Saying you held Steph to 25, I know he looked really bad in the second half, and he had a miserable second half, and he had a miserable first half a couple games ago in the other game they lost. But
he was solid in the first half.
He had 25 points. To say you held somebody down, 25 points, I mean, it's a lot. Clay had 37. Here's my thing.
Balled out.
And it took LeBron to have, he was better. He had more stat total in every category or tied with the Warriors than the Warriors leaders. Like, he had more points than the Warriors leader in points. He had more rebounds than the Warriors leader in rebounds. He had more steals. He was tied in steals. He was tied in assists, whatever. He was at the top or tied with Warriors players for the top stat of the game in every single category. That's one of the best games I've ever seen LeBron play in the playoffs. There's a list of 5 games. I'm not going to rattle them all down here. The Boston one, Game 6 when they were down 3-2 when he was playing for Miami. That's probably his best one of all time. This wasn't that level, but it was really close. I mean, that was an incredible game. But to think you're going to a whole nother level. To think you're going to get that from him, and again without Draymond Green, to think you're going to get that again from him after another cross-country flight, and then to get it again after another cross-country flight. To see him do that 2 more times would be incredible. And even if he does that, you would need Kyrie to make shots the way he did last night, and he didn't do that all series long until the game on Monday night. And then on top of that, you would need the Warriors to default the way they did. Bogut being injured?
First
or death, yes?
Yes. I mean, there's a lot to take in with that situation.
Right. That's why I rattled down, because I want to hear all of yours.
All right. Number one, I don't even know if Draymond should have even been suspended. Okay, that's number one. I think
we'll get into this. Yeah.
I feel like the NBA just kind of defaulted just because of what went down, and everybody feels like he got away with it the first time around, and now this time around they feel like that they just had to make a decision. I don't know. I think it's ridiculous. I think the fact that they reviewed it and then they still kind of were just like, no, this is going to stand, doesn't make the NBA look good, because now everybody and their mom thinks that the thing was rigged to make this go to 7 games. I don't know if it's true or not. I feel like both should have got a foul. I thought LeBron was being a punk too in that game. It was also Draymond. Draymond was being a punk as well. I feel like LeBron, he also got away with some stuff. He threw Steph Curry down at one point.
Yeah.
LeBron got mad because Draymond apparently called him a bitch, which, I mean...
I don't like that LeBron came out and said anything in the media about that, because, like, why are you even talking about that? My question on this flagrant thing that you're going off real quick, do you think... So you don't think the flagrant was deserved? Because I think both of them deserved a harsh penalty, and Draymond doesn't get suspended. I'm not saying too. I think. Let me put it this way: do you think that if there was no prior incidents that should be a flagrant? Because I think if there was no prior incidents that it wouldn't. I personally, and I know people saying, "Well, LeBron defender." I personally think it should be a flagrant, but I think it should have been on the court. I don't think they would have went and reversed it the way they did, but I think it should have been called on the court a flagrant foul. And the fact that it wasn't, I was shocked then and there. But I think on the court, I felt like they didn't do it because of the Draymond thing with the 2 before. So I felt like those refs didn't want to be the ones to do that. They wanted to put that in the league's hands, and they did.
Exactly why you did.
But I think it should have been a flagrant on the floor. I personally would have called it even if he had none prior, is what I'm trying to tell you. So you don't think they should have called it a flagrant on the floor even if he had none prior, no matter if he had 1, 2, or none prior?
If he had none prior, then no. I think he literally got that because of his history.
Oh, you don't. I'm asking. Do you think on the floor? Do you think it should have been though?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay. I think it should have been for
I feel
both
like-
of them. I think both of them were completely in the
Either
wrong.
way, it should have been
gotten
both.
harsh. Yes, yeah. But do you agree that they both should have got flagrant fouls?
I agree they both should have been fouled in some capacity. If you were going to get one flagrant, then you would get both.
Okay.
I think
All right. They gave LeBron a technical, which they're saying is worse.
the way that it went down, it was kind of like up in the air. Like it was LeBron's fault.
Right.
I could see it from both
No,
perspectives.
I think both of them deserved to get hit with stuff.
Definitely, in that situation.
100%. Flagrant foul. I think that would work out for both. That's why I'm saying that. I think it's just that he got that, and then the suspension came because it was his third one. But yeah.
The other thing that nobody wants to talk about, but I keep talking about because I think it's funny, is that LeBron was talking about how he was called a bitch and maybe other things. He didn't go into it because he's a classic man or whatever. He's a classic man. But at one point he threw Steph Curry to the ground. Okay, whatever. And I'm cool with. Let me just say I'm cool with this little rivalry that's going on between Steph and LeBron, the teams in general, because I'm tired of everybody being everybody's friend. I'm tired of LeBron and all his homies. I don't want to see that. I want to see people actually. You don't have to hate each other, but be competitive on the court. But he threw Steph Curry down. Steph gets up. LeBron says something, but it's not said what he actually says to Steph. And the way that Steph reacted, which was he kind of jumped back with his neck and he looked. LeBron said something. What? I don't know. Maybe he did call him a bitch. Maybe he clearly something was said. And I think it's funny that nobody's talking about that. But then LeBron was the first person to come out and say, "Well, I was called a bitch," and it was
I think he was asked what he was called, but which he shouldn't have said anything else.
No, just let it go.
My other thought on this is.
Let it go.
I do want to say
you've been called worse. I've called him worse.
Outside of the game, the Miami, like the last couple games in the Miami series, the Miami Dallas series where he lost. That game on Friday, he looked about as frustrated as I've ever seen. He still played a really good game. His stats were still amazing, but his body language was very. It's very rare to see him that frustrated in the finals. He responded very well. Obviously, we just talked about that, but.
I think he was kind of miserable on that game on Friday night, but he definitely bounced back. I will take nothing away from the way him or Kyrie played on Monday night.
Kyrie, I just don't personally. I don't think he can keep that up for the rest of the series because he couldn't do that until that game. Draymond Green being out, that probably helps him in some capacity. Yes, yeah,
definitely. It's hard to say what Draymond's impact would have been. He's not going to guard everybody on the court, but I guarantee you, LeBron's not getting. Our
rotation's better. It helps our rotation,
right?
No matter how you look at it.
Absolutely, but I can tell you this much: LeBron's not getting 16 rebounds if Draymond Green's out.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
I'm not going to say that LeBron still doesn't ball out, that Kyrie still doesn't ball out, but I think that Draymond being out of the game absolutely hurt Golden State.
Even if they ball out to that extreme, even in the next game, right? Which it would be very hard for them to do, and if they do, it would be incredible. You're still going to probably need a little more from Kevin Love or somebody else. Somebody's going to have to start putting in more points. Kevin Love has been, he's been nowhere to be found, and this is you can't. They need him. They need him. This Warriors team is better than them, even with him playing well. So
well, Monday night they didn't need him. Kyrie.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree.
Going back to
you can't expect that to happen.
No, right. And going back to that point, you say that you can't expect either one of them, LeBron or Kyrie, to continue this.
Physically, I personally, I love LeBron. It's just physically almost impossible to see him do this.
It's not realistic. LeBron isn't the type of person that can. He had like 8 jumpers on Monday night. That's unheard of. LeBron just doesn't pull up and shoot jumpers.
For his size, that was amazing.
Like
that was amazing jump shooting day for somebody his size.
When he makes it looks good, but I still say
no.
I don't want to see him
do it. It's not the norm of him taking those shots, but if it's working, I do want to see him do it because that was the only way they could win. Is he made them honest? He made a lot of jump shots. I'm not against what you're saying though. It's against the norm. It's completely against the extreme. To see him and like I said, physically be able to do what he just did on Monday night, it's. Another cross-country flight. it's gonna be.
There's been this pattern with this series, which is basically Golden State has a great game, then they have a bad game, and it's like they switch with both teams. They switched role, and because Friday night, the only difference was Friday night when they both played, and I even tweeted out on our Twitter page _JD Sports, which was even though Cleveland lost, they should have hung their head because they competed out there. In Golden State, they competed in the first half of the game on Monday night. Second half, they fell off completely, which was bad. But I think it's going to be a situation where Golden State kind of just bounces back now on Game 6 on Thursday night. And I think that realistically, we can definitely say that Cleveland's going to fall off. I can't expect both teams to put up 60 points and a half.
From all the
That's
points
unrealistic.
I completely agree.
Unrealistic.
From all the points that we made, my only thought would be the Cleveland still thinks they have a puncher's chance because of Bogut getting hurt, and that hurts the depth of the big men down low.
defense, they're losing. They lost 2 of their big defenders. One's coming back, obviously, with Draymond. But then you gain one, you lose one. You gain one, you lose one. It's a huge deal. He's the big man down low that's getting blocks. He stops LeBron when he's driving. He stops the Kyrie. He's that anchor down low that neither team really has, and now Golden State really doesn't have. We need to get Anderson Varejao about this game.
He's ridiculous to watch. It's over the top. It's beyond. It's too far.
I'm
so done watching him.
I don't understand why Steve Kerr is keeping him out there. Get Spates out there.
All he does is just fall every time. Every time anything's around him, he just goes right to the floor.
Get the other dude out there, Ezekiel. Get him out there.
Yes.
Get their bigs. Get them out there. They got their strengths are much more powerful than Varejao. Varejao, he's just. I don't know. I just when I see him out there, it's just like, what is your job other than the flail?
Right. I agree. We talked about
it's ugly.
We talked about Steph not looking all that, I guess, productive, I guess is probably the best way to put it. I don't agree with that because if you look at the other side of it, I know you don't like to dig deep into the stats and analytics and stuff like this, but numbers would say Steph was actually better on the floor even though he only scored 25 than Clay, who scored 37. Clay was negative 21 while he was on the court. The Warriors were negative 21 points while Clay was on the court, even though he scored 37. That's unheard of, but that is, and he's a good defender, so I'm not saying he's a liability guy on defense. I'm not saying that this was his fault. It's just kind of odd how those stats worked out.
That's weird.
Speaking of Clay, his dad has been kind of coming out and defending the Warriors after every game in some kind of capacity and kind of like coming at LeBron. And he was mad at Tyronn Lue because I don't disagree with Tyronn Lue saying earlier in the series that he felt like LeBron wasn't getting calls. I still don't feel like LeBron's getting calls, but it's okay.
And it's funny because all season that's all he does is get ridiculous
This
calls.
This is the first time this is the finals. This is the first time since in years that I haven't seen LeBron get calls.
Right, exactly.
Personally, I'm okay with it for that reason. And number 2, there was a time in Shaq's career because he was so much physically bigger and dominant and people just couldn't stop him at the rim and he wasn't getting calls. No. Same exact thing. LeBron's just bigger, physically dominant, so players, it looks more natural when LeBron's running somebody over at the rim. Yes, it should be a call, it should be a foul, but guess what?
If we want to be consistent, we want to be correct, and yes, it should be a call all the time. The NBA doesn't operate like that. It just doesn't.
And
I don't like it. I do not like it that way at all. I need it to be consistent. I want to be consistent. What's a call? The first game of the season needs to be called the last game of the season, and in the playoffs and the finals. It should be consistent all around, but that's just not how it is, and it sucks. I've been crying about it on here, and it's just never going to happen apparently.
Well, Klay Thompson's dad, as I said, was kind of defending the Warriors. You know, people are kind of calling the backcourt soft as because they're suburban. Jason Whitlock from I think it's the Underscore. It's a ESPN African American site. Jason Whitlock runs it. He calls the backcourt of the Warriors the best suburban team he's ever seen, and it's funny because it's true. And Klay's dad, Michael Thompson, who played in the NBA, he was the first overall pick in the '80s. He says that LeBron looks for as many calls and he's as soft or quote unquote whatever. I don't know the exact words. Point is, then he goes into saying that LeBron couldn't play in his era, which I just want to point out is the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard, because LeBron could play in any era. If there's a ball and there's a hoop, I think LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, I think Shaquille O'Neal, Wilt Chamberlain, I think Bill Russell, I think all these guys can play at any era at any time. I think if you can ball, you can ball. Larry Bird could play at any era. Reggie Miller, listen, I'm saying I don't know if Steph could play in the 90s because he's small, and he's literally one of the few people I think you can have an exceptional argument with, but he can shoot the ball. So if he was being able to get the shots way off deep back then, even if you're running him over, he's getting the shots, and he'll take the calls all day.
Here's the thing, the comment is, whereas I can kind of see where he's coming from, at the same time I look at it from the perspective that regardless of what era you are playing in, you are accustomed to that era. To say that LeBron James couldn't look, he would be a completely different monster in, let's say it was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. He would not be the same player that he is in 2016 as the players that would be in 96. He would be of that 96 mindset, so he would be a fight. He would be able to do a lot more and get away with a lot more.
He'd be more a little
physical.
Animal, right?
He could be more physical himself because he's so much of a tank himself. Steph Curry, he isn't a punk, so I think he would be able to adapt as well, but if I'm being realistic, LeBron's a lot more physical, he's a lot more bulkier. He would do better physically in the 96 NBA than Steph Curry would.
They looked for calls,
or Klay Thompson.
They looked for calls back then, but there was more contact allowed, so it looked a little tougher. But
that's perfect for a LeBron that's a beast.
Right. But the era that we live in, everybody is doing this, and it is more
Right.
beneficial to you to do it than to not do it. That's why they all do it, obviously. And it just so happens that this is the era that we played. But look, I will take it as far as saying that. And I know Michael Thompson was a number 1 overall pick, and this is not disrespect to him. I think that one-on-one in both their primes, LeBron would destroy him, okay? And if you don't think LeBron could play in your era, then what are you saying about your son who is not, he couldn't even hold a candle to LeBron James if we're talking about skill player in basketball? So what, your son couldn't play in the 80s either? Because your son is nothing against Klay Thompson because this isn't a shot at anybody. But if you're calling LeBron soft, then what are you calling your own son? Because he is not LeBron. He doesn't have LeBron's mentality, physical aware. It's just not even close if you really want to get into it. And you don't, and that's not. So unfair of you to do. Put yourself and your son in a bad position. But anyways,
that's kind of been a theme. That's like when Clay was talking about the Showtime Lakers,
look,
and we're just like,
I know that,
talking?
and I like what you said about the rivalry
Stop
aspect
talking.
of this, right? I like that you said that these two teams really don't like they are, and you're cool with it.
I need
and
that. I want that in my NBA.
This is one of their dads now getting involved type thing, and it just kind of goes to the
stupid.
It goes to the Whitlock's suburban backcourt situation though, because that's really one of their dads is coming to their defense, like talking on LeBron.
It makes you look like Kobe Bryant talking to Dwight Howard situation.
I know that you respect what LeBron does on the basketball court. I know you completely, like, you don't really hate on, like, what he does playing with the round ball in the hoop, okay? But
I don't like what he does off the court.
What is this nonsense of everybody just going off on him? I mean, he's having another ridiculous finals. That game was unbelievable.
Because he's the chosen one. He's the king. He's the face. This is what happened.
This is incredible.
He set himself up for this, dude.
I'm
not saying it's right or wrong, but I understand it. I just think it's funny that they're saying, you know, former and current NBA players say the same thing. They're just like, who are you? Like, are you going to win or no? Like, look, he showed up, but it's not done yet.
No, it's not. I'm so excited for the rest of the series. Like I said, Kemba has to show up. The bench, man. The bench of the Warriors has to show up.
Yeah, definitely. Iggy didn't really play that well.
Iggy
which is rare because he's had a decent series.
I agree with what you're saying. But I think that Shumpert, J.R. Smith needs to make a little more buckets, but this is the same broken record that we've been talking about. Dellavedova can't be as bad as he was on the court. He's been very bad the last 3 games. I mean, he has been miserable the last 3 games.
Toss up, who's been worse, him or Varejao? God.
That is very sad because they're very close to each other.
I'd say Delly.
Honestly, you're probably not wrong, but it's very close.
Yeah.
Dellavedova looks like he got punched in the face twice. Look, did you see his eyes? I mean, he looks like he's just beat up.
Red.
And it was the second quarter, and he barely played any minutes in that game. I mean, it's not good for... the Cavaliers need to get production out of a lot more people. It can't just be on LeBron and Kyrie because I don't see it physically possible, and I don't see Kyrie making that many shots.
3 straight games.
Next game, hopefully, as a LeBron fan, I'd like to see them finish this out some way, shape, or form. The Bogut injury does, like I said, give them a puncher's chance. I'm still taking the Warriors to win this series.
So am I. So that begs the question. I mean, we're getting into this game 6 situation. Is Golden State going to be smelling some champagne?
I think if they can figure out
in Cleveland again.
I think if they can figure out how to limit LeBron going off with Draymond Green off the court, because obviously LeBron and Kyrie have found a system when Draymond Green is not on the court to just absolutely physically take over in whatever capacity. I mean, nobody outside of it was the last. I think there was 2 minutes and 40-some seconds left in the second quarter. Was the last bucket that was scored without Kyrie or LeBron James being on the bucket or the assist.
Wow.
I mean, that is the second quarter. So they found a system when Draymond Green isn't out there. Bogut got hurt in the third quarter. I think there's a correlation there. I think they found the system because both of them were out. So the thing is now when you sit Draymond, you have to figure out how to slow them down. Even because Draymond he can't physically do more than 33, 34 minutes a game, and that's asking a lot of him. He does sit for extended period of times. He has pushed himself a little more in the finals, and he sat the whole last game, so I would assume he's going to probably be able to put himself in the 35-minute range to win a championship, but you need all 35 minutes of him because he goes out for 5-10 minutes of this game. LeBron can make it a 10-15 point game like that on you. I mean, if you're getting negative 21 points from Klay Thompson on the court and he scores 37, obviously there's something right. And with Draymond sitting, you can't have negative 15 to 20 at any point, or else you're going to lose. So,
who are you picking? After all that, I'll tell you who I'm picking. And I kind of want to pick Cleveland, just because I think that they might be onto something, at least for.
Like I just said with the whole Draymond,
I think they might be onto something where they can just just keep it rolling to at least the 7th and then lose. I also look at it this way. I see Golden State as the team that they seemingly, and this has been the case for the past 2 rounds at least, if not 3, where they get punched in the mouth and then they come back and punch you twice. They hit you with a 2-piece. So I can see a situation, not that they blow out Cleveland, but where they finish out that second half enough that they could win again. And that would be unfortunate because it's a better scene, obviously, if you win in your home crowd. So the fact that if they would win in Cleveland would kind of suck from that aspect. But going back to what I just said, they're the type of team that could get punched in the mouth and they'd like to respond. So I can see that counterpunch coming. I think they're going to win on Thursday.
LeBron has the most average points in elimination games when his team's up against elimination. He has the most points average in games. I think MJ is like 32, and I think he is like 34 or something like that, and they're 1 and 2. LeBron comes to play all the time in these situations. I just don't think the rest of them around him has it. And if Draymond Green, he's the MVP of that team. I know
they've been playing a little different now. They've been playing better.
The biggest difference
JR has been showing up a little bit.
As I said, Kevin Love. And I don't want to put my faith in Kevin Love. I'm not going to lie. I think Golden State's probably going to pull it off. Iguodala will be coming off the bench again. I think he'll end up having a better game. Steph, he gets 25 plus. I think he's the MVP. Him or Draymond. I think Draymond should get probably the MVP, especially if they win it.
Clay might get it depending on how this game goes.
There's what's cool though is that none of them really deserve it much more than the other ones, and it's not because none of them are balling extremely well. It's because they are all balling extremely well together.
Right, definitely.
So I think I'm gonna go with Golden State, but I'm rooting like heck for Cleveland, and I think Cleveland can pull it off. Like I said, I truly think they have a puncher's chance, and I think that they think they have a puncher's chance, and I think anytime you have LeBron James, especially when the dynamic of the series, sometimes things are falling in their way. At home, you expect them to get a couple more calls. I didn't like that they were wearing the sleeve jerseys, but apparently LeBron called for it. Apparently LeBron called for it the night before.
He would make a ridiculous decision like that.
Actually, and I said to you, I think it's just because they're trying to sell jerseys. There was no patch on it. There was no NBA Finals patch.
It was on the back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I actually, after, later, when you left, I was like, is there a patch? And then I saw it when somebody was going to the free throw line. I was like, it was on the back.
Shout out to Marlins man who shows up to every major sporting event. He was behind the Warriors bench. I'm guaranteeing he's going to be at the next game because he said I read an article, he goes to all major sporting events he can. He's the owner of a law firm in Miami, and it's like 40-some lawyers in his law firm. So then there's people under them. So like he's not even, he's just loaded is what I'm guessing.
I'm doing something wrong in my life.
You and me both. So, anything else to add to that before we move on? Anything else to add to the NBA Finals, which it's been fun.
It's been crazy. It's been unpredictable. I can say that much.
That's what I like about it.
Anything else to say? No. I regardless of who wins this, I just need the next 2 games to be competitive.
Well, I
don't want to see no blowouts.
It might be 1 game.
Well, if that's the case, I need to be competitive. Because the first 2 games, it was like, come on.
Yeah, I agree. But it's been very good since.
Right. That needs to continue. Because otherwise, it's just not a good look for the NBA. It doesn't, intrigue people to want to watch again next year. Right. And as a fan that wants to watch every year regardless, I still want to see it be competitive. I don't want to see these blowouts.
Me too.
It's funny, but at the same time, it's just well, I guess I can turn this off now. It's the beginning of the 4th quarter. Forget it. I don't want that. I want to be able to watch start to finish, enjoy it, come down to the end. Can we get a buzzer beater? We haven't had one of those in a while. Something?
Well,
something?
I just want it to be close games.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
We're not going to get a Derek Fisher 0.4 seconds.
Probably not. MJ's most famous shot came with 5 seconds left to go in a game. So.
And that was a foul.
He did push off.
He did push off. Don't tell him that.
18 years ago Tuesday.
I would have told him
this week.
I want to tell him to his face.
18 years ago Tuesday this week. I heard a great Michael Jordan story. Let me just tell this quick. It was Amin Al-Hassan from ESPN told it. Now, why is it that? Because before I tell the story, why is it that when people do? Why is it that when people do things that Michael Jordan does, they get shamed for it and it's not good, but when Michael Jordan does it, it's okay. Like this guy, right? Are you ready for the story? You know how they run the mascot races, right? It was back in the 90s. They would run 3 different colored bulls. It would be a black one, a red one, and a white one, let's say. Jordan
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, at a basketball game, you go to a basketball game, and on the video board during a timeout, they'll show like a mascot race,
Okay.
like of them running around the arena, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and they would do this for every Bulls game, right? And like during a timeout, they would always do this for every Bulls game. They would show on the video board a race, a different race, a race of that day, and they would record it in the morning. Well, Jordan would show up to the arena 7-8 hours before the game to get shots in. And he noticed they were filming it one day, and he said, "Oh, you guys know who won? You guys always know who won before you put it up there?" Like, he never really just thought about it. They said, "Yeah." So he would show up, and he would ask them who won every time. So during a timeout, Phil Jackson would be drawing a play up, and he'd turn to Scottie Pippen, and he'd go, "Yo, $100 on the red one." And he'd win $100 from Scottie Pippen every game.
That's funny.
And you just deal with it because it's Michael Jordan. So at some point,
That's fair.
at some point, you're like, "Yo, he wins every time." Obviously, he probably knows what's winning, but it's Michael Jordan.
That's funny.
So what are you gonna do? Argue with him?
I like it.
But why, like, MJ? Well, I don't know why you got into the MJ story.
I don't know either. You were saying why do people get on him about stuff? Why do you?
Well, why no? Why? Like, who? Nobody could get away with that. That's a funny story. We think that's funny, but like,
I think it's hilarious.
We'd be like, "Yo, that's kind of like dickheadish." If it was like
it's dickheadish, but
Shaq to Kobe.
That's a whole different level.
But do you know what I'm saying though? Like, no. But are you following along?
Pippen ain't out here making raps or anything.
Well, this was. I remember when Shaq and Kobe were cool.
I mean, they cool now, but there was a minute where we were rapping about each other.
I mean,
we ain't gonna talk about them lyrics, but
hey Kobe, tell me. Anyways,
lyrics are out there. Google's your friend.
yeah.
So that's different.
I don't know why I told the MJ story. That MJ story is awesome. It's funny.
It's funny. I like it just because of who he is and because they were cool like that. Like they were boys. So I mean, I'm sure Scotty was mad, but whatever. It's cool.
Moving on.
They didn't hate each other. It's cool.
No, you're right. Moving on to the NHL. Unfortunately, the Pittsburgh Penguins are your Stanley Cup winners now.
You had to say that quick, huh?
Congratulations
Did
to
I
them.
hurt?
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. I don't like seeing Sidney Crosby hoist the cup. Congratulations to them. My issue with my only issue is Sidney Crosby won the Conn Smythe, which is the MVP for the Stanley Cup or the playoffs. I think their goalie should have won it, and that's not just me like not liking Crosby. I'm not. I've had the conversation on air. I've had the conversation off air with you. I'm not one of the typical Crosby haters. I think he deserves a lot of the awards he gets. I think he's amazing. Obviously the best player in the NHL. All that stuff. I just think that like realistically, trying to be as unbiased as I can, it's just their goalie. He was incredible. Is it Matt Murray? He's a young rookie. Came in the last like 30-some games of the season for them. Not even. I mean, he was just and in the playoffs he was ridiculously good. I don't know. If I had the vote, I would have definitely voted their goalie, and I didn't even think it would be close. Now I did not see the last game, and I know Crosby had 2 assists, but they won 3-1, so obviously their goalie must have had a good game. And he had a good amount of saves, if I'm not mistaken. But neither here nor there. Personally, I hate
not the fancy position.
I hate to be one of these conspiracy theory guys.
But you is.
They needed to put the Conn Smythe Trophy on Crosby record. He has every other award. He has everything. He has 2 Stanley Cups now. He has multiple MVPs, scoring championships, most points in the season. He has every major award that the top, Howe, Gretzky, all the top players have ever won, except he never won the Conn Smythe Trophy. I felt like kind of when I read that he won it, that it was just kind of one of those opportunity was there, couldn't,
maybe.
Got to put it on his resume. And look,
maybe they didn't think it was a strong enough case for anybody else.
When we go down into history,
and it goes like he's a star.
When they go down into history, when it goes down into the history books, and it says that on his resume, it's just one more thing to add to him. And
that's it. Nobody's going to talk about
it. Unfortunately, whether I agree with it in 2016 or not, it's going to be on there. And
20 years from now, they're going to be talking about the number he got.
Exactly. And, the amount of cups and everything he's done. Right, exactly. And it's just another check on that box. And he's now probably, I don't know if there's anything that he hasn't done now. I think that is literally the last accomplishment. He's won gold. He scored the overtime winning game, the game winner in the gold medal game. I mean, he's done everything against the USA. I mean, he's done everything you can possibly do as a Canadian hockey player, as just a hockey player in general. 2 cups. He can win a couple more. Gretzky has 2 more than him, but
Hall of Fame bound.
Oh, it's not even close.
It's not even a discussion, apparently, at this point.
It's not. He's still playing.
Just padding his stats.
Look,
man.
he's still playing, and it's not as LeBron because LeBron just runs the East. It's a little harder to do in hockey as one player.
Yeah, definitely.
But he's still getting to the end of his prime, but he's still in his prime, just like LeBron's still in his prime.
I was gonna say he's relatively young.
Crosby's still in his prime. He still has years left on him. So he's only going to add to it. He's only going to get more impressive as long as injuries don't catch up to him. Which
you think he gets?
Knock on wood for him. Last year and a half, they haven't. So
how many more cups would you say he got in?
I'm hoping 0, but honestly, he can win 2, maybe 3. Yeah. I mean, honestly, as good as he is, if they can keep putting the right talent around him, Pittsburgh's going to have to reload here soon in the next couple of years, which they are starting to. They're very young right now, right? This isn't the same team that won it in 2009, but what they did in 2009 is they waited too long to start getting rid of players. It was 2011, 2012 when they started getting rid of some of their players.
7-year gap from championships.
You have good players on your team right now. You can start getting rid of them for young. You're very. Unfortunately, as a Flyers fan, I hate to say it, the Flyers are very loaded as well, but the Penguins are loaded in their organization and in their AHL team as well. So they can start wheeling and dealing players, making sure they stay young around Crosby and getting the right formula around him to keep winning cups like this because, like I said, he has his talent level. He has 2 or 3 left in him. I hope they get 0 because they were very mismanaged for a very long time. There was 3 or 4 of those 7 years, 3 or 4 of those years they were picked to win the cup by a lot of people, a lot of experts. I mean, they were the best team in the league multiple times, talent-wise, and they just didn't get it done. Part of it Crosby injury, part of it because they were very mismanaged, part of it was coaching, whatever. They found the right formula this year. They got to keep that going. Hopefully, as I said, they don't.
So they're just always around.
They are, and him. I mean, he's the X factor. He's that good that he will always keep them around. Ovechkin with the Capitals, same as he will always keep them playoff bound for how good he is. Last NHL note, and this is kind of big because you like the NFL, you like the NBA, and you follow sports in general. Las Vegas is now getting a team expansion, so there's no name on the team. There's no, no one's moving there. It's just going to be expansion. A brand new team in the NHL. It's going to be very interesting. It's very big news.
It's huge. That's incredible.
It's big news for the sports world.
Overall, it's not even just a hockey story. This is sports. This is sports
in America. Because we're the last country to not allow sports gambling across America, and
which we're kind of getting lenient in.
Extremely lenient in, and now we're putting a pro team in Vegas.
Huge. That's a big statement.
Opening the door. The NFL is probably not happy that they didn't jump on it first.
Roger Goodell, he how drunk is he getting tonight? Because he's mad.
Not happy.
He wanted to have the first team.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think we both think that the NFL within the next few years will have something
within
lined
5 years
up.
there will be a team in there.
Absolutely. They're going to have something lined up, but I absolutely stand by the fact that I think Roger Goodell is salty.
He's not happy that this happened.
He's not the first one. The NFL they've been pushing, but they've been stalling obstacle after obstacle has taken place. They kind of had the opportunity with the Oakland and St. Louis and San Diego. They had the opportunity and they blew it. And the NHL was just quietly just pushing, and they got it done.
Yeah, but they've been
shout out to them.
The NHL opened up this door years ago. They were the first team. They were the first sports organization to say that we want to put a team in. They were very advocate on it about 5-10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and then everyone else started getting perking interest in it. So it's only fitting that they were the first people in there because they were the ones to make this active. But you're right, the NFL tried to get us on it as much as they could, and things got really hot there where they almost had a team in it. It's now going to be at least a year or two till they can.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole going back to LA situation. It's like there's talk for long periods of time in the NFL, but then it just falls through, and then finally they're getting the LA situation.
To their credit, they jumped in the game about 3 or 4 years after the NHL. The NHL has been voting on trying to get a team in Vegas for about 3 or 4 years longer than the NFL, and the NFL was that close to doing it before them.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously Vegas will probably take anything at this point, but I would think that the NFL would be more of a priority in that sense.
The NHL is the first in there, but all 4 major sports walk a close line. Like the NHL held a couple events in there a couple years ago, and as I said, they were the first people trying to get in there. The MLB has a whole league. They have a summer league, the Vegas Summer League down there. The NBA holds their summer workouts down there. They have a Vegas league, and then in the NFL, there's a lot of Vegas stuff as well. So every team, every organization is walking the line, waiting to get in Vegas. This is the first step. It's interesting with the gambling aspect of it, as we talked about, and the advertisement aspect
funny.
of it as well, because the NBA is starting to put advertisement on. Vegas is going to be a hot spot for things like that because of all their big sponsorships. A lot of them come out of Vegas.
There's just way too much more. There is way
The
too much
market
money
is so
on
there
the
for them.
table to
Right.
not just be like, we're in. It's weird. I don't understand why it's taking this so long. I mean, these leagues have been around for
I think
decades and decades.
I think
and
within
it's like
10 years there will be all 4 major sports in there.
some capacity. You would think. The NFL definitely. I think we agree on that. NBA. I think they could quietly maybe even sneak in and get in there before the NFL.
We'll see.
That'd be interesting.
We will see. Now the NBA hasn't talked about it as much, but I think the NFL will have it in the next year or two anyways. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Everybody else would just follow suit.
Yeah, the MLB will have a team within 10 years out there. Last thing, the UFC. We talked a little bit last week about Dana White reacting on emotions, and it sounds like he did it again. If you want to explain the story.
But yeah, I guess his name's Hawani. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Regardless, the reporter that got banned for life by Dana White because he did his job basically.
Allowed back in.
Apparently, this was like immediate, and when we did the show last week, we were saying that it's still in effect, but apparently it was already decided even before we did the show. So apparently it was like really, really quick, but it was kind of quiet. I don't know. Regardless. So basically what happened was Dana White caved in, and from what I was able to look into a little bit was he literally just did this, that he caved into the media outcry, towards the fan outcry.
Reacting on emotion.
He did a very Dana White thing, and as much as I do like Dana White and I respect him as the promoter and the fact that he gets the fights out there that people want to see, he's never shying away. He's kind of in your face, and I like that about him. And he's vocal, and I'm cool with that. He's also kind of a bit of a I don't want to say a prick, but like
he wants to be a dictator.
He kind of wants to show his stroke, and he does that anytime he gets the opportunity, and that's why it's kind of fitting that he's trying to sell it, because it's just like maybe that's for the best at this point, because it's like we said last week, they'll need a more negative publicity, and that was just absolutely horrible publicity, and clearly he saw that, and he saw the backlash, and he was just like, okay, you're back in. Homeboy, I just forgot his name again, but he went on his Twitter and was just like, because I guess Dana White was like, there was a complete ban on this, you weren't allowed to talk about this. The dude came out on his Twitter and in interviews and has said that I wasn't told to be quiet about this Brock Lesnar situation. It's a lie, and it's irresponsible of Dana White. This is what he said. He basically said, there's no moles inside. I don't have any, I got the information and I did my job basically. And Dana White, he's basically calling him back out, saying that Dana White is wrong and irresponsible for saying that, I did this without merit, but I did everything I was supposed to do. I wasn't warned about anything. I wasn't told I'd lose my job or anybody else would. So he's not really helping his case getting back into the UFC, because now he kind of will have that target on his back.
I like that he's fighting them like that, because
I'm cool with it as well, but at the same time,
I'm on the side of reporters.
Dana just looks so bad now.
I'm on the side of
Looks so
reporters for
bad.
the most part. My first thing I want to say about that, though, is I'm not a big guy. I hate to try to just bash commissioners, but I think Goodell deserves to get the critics he gets. Even though I fully don't support everything that they say about him, he puts the target on his back on himself.
Absolutely.
Dana White is probably my most disliked commissioner in all sports. I think that you're right. What he does fighting wise, and
he's very like Mark Cuban.
He puts everybody in the right fights, right? And I like that. But I cannot stand how he treats everybody around the UFC that's not actually in the UFC. I mean, he's not. He tries to promote things for the fans, but he does a lot of really crappy things to the biggest connections with the fans, not just the media. I mean, he does TV rights and all that stuff. The fighters themselves. I mean, he treats his employees like slaves half the time. There's just a lot of things I do not like about how he runs that organization, because it's not always fair to the athlete. It's not always fair to the media member. It's just.
When you get him his bad side, it's not good for you.
And he goes overboard in everything. He goes and yes, that has been good for the UFC in certain ways, but it's definitely also obviously right now hurting them in other ways. And right now, the black eye that they have on them, he needs to figure out how to turn that trend in a different direction.
And in a couple weeks, people will forget about it, and they'll keep going. UFC 200 is coming up. The dude will be there. He'll be reporting. Good for him. But at the same time, it's just Dana White. It's not good. You need to calm down, relax. I still think that he kind of has a vendetta against this dude, and we're going to
Probably.
see in the coming months. Well, the dude also reports for the rival companies like Bellator and
Yeah.
other MMA promotions, so I don't think Dana appreciates that aspect either. But at the same time, like,
Let him go make his money. It's
let
America.
him do
We live
what
in America. He's
let him do his job.
That's his job.
Let him do his job. At
It's
the
not
end of
your
the day-
job. It's his job.
At the end of the day, he's doing his job. Let him do his job. If you don't appreciate, then tell the people that know about it, because you know who knows about it. There's a gag order, and if it leaves this room, everybody's going to be responsible.
You're all going
Do
down.
something. Yes, absolutely. That's all you have to do. If WWE, for example, and Vince McMahon, when they want to, they keep stuff quiet. It's rare nowadays, but when it happens, it's like, wow, nobody knew about this. It's a complete shock. When Shane McMahon came back earlier this year, nobody knew about it. Why? Because they kept it quiet. And like Vince seemingly puts gag orders on this situation. If Dana White has an announcement like Brock Lesnar coming back, do the same thing. If you want to announce the Conor McGregor fight for 202, do the same thing. Be like, this is the gag order. Nobody says anything outside this room.
Yep.
It just doesn't leave this room, and if it does, all of you are in some shit.
Everybody.
That's all you got to do. Take control of the situation. Be proactive and prevent it instead of being reactive and
Yeah, mad at the wrong
firing
person.
everybody.
That twice.
Absolutely. It's not cool. It's not acceptable.
Well, it's unfortunate. Next week we'll be talking about a wrap up of the finals.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of how far it goes, it'll be over by that point.
Yeah.
Then
Maybe
what?
Probably a little bit of NBA draft, and then we're gonna have to figure out.
Ugh.
Probably go position by position in a little too early predictions of NFL maybe coming up. Yeah. Maybe we'll try to talk Dwight into that. Anyways, thank you for watching JD Sports. I'm Jared Hood. That's Dwight Garfield. You can find our Twitters at the show's Twitter page, which is @_JD Sports. Thank you for watching.
Peace out.